Hello, everybody. Thanks for joining me today. I'm Aaron Rutten, and I'm going to be doing some live streaming of digital art, hanging out with you, answering your questions, and maybe even drawing some requests. So today I'll just go ahead and get started painting something. Using Corel Painter 2020. And I like to use the airbrush for the sky here. Gives me that nice gradient transition. Do a little bit of lighter color here on the bottom. And then we could put in some cloudiness here. Let's go ahead and use one of my nature brushes called Oily Clouds. It's not surprising that that makes clouds. So I also thought what might be fun is to work on maybe like opening an old painting that I'm not 100% satisfied with and then painting over it. So I might do that. I also need to create some brushes for Photoshop, so that might be on my agenda of things to do here. This will be my warm-up. I definitely have a lot of paintings that I could paint over too. You know, that's the one thing about digital art is you could work on something forever because you can always come back to it. I mean, I guess you can always come back to traditional art as well, but sometimes that's a bit harder. I like this brush for making clouds. I might be biased a little bit because I made the brush, but it does work pretty well. The trick with clouds is to not make them all look the same. Sometimes you could even think, like, sometimes I'll think about like letters of the alphabet, you know, like here's a J cloud, or here's an M cloud. Sometimes that helps you draw more random shapes. And then having a nice mix of fluffy clouds and wispy clouds is also good. Doesn't hurt to have some little pieces of clouds as well. Feel free to comment in. Let me know where you're watching from. Thanks for joining me today. So now let's have some far away looking stuff here. I'm going to get a different brush though. Let's get a palette knife. Be able to block in faster with that. So that shows kind of an almost gray color there with a little bit of that blue sky hue in it. And let's change the composite method of that to gel cover. That way I can blend out the bottom without it going to white. It's a little distant piece of land there. Create a new layer there for some land. Darken that up. Shift the hue a little bit. And I want to overlap a little bit. Then I want to make sure I go down far enough to where I get some of that nice misty area. Keep some of that down there. I'm going to also post something here in the chat. So I'm going to turn on transparency, go back to my airbrush, get that sky color, lighten the bottom of that a little bit. This could almost be like an ocean painting or something. If I put an ocean in the background, and then these could be layers of sand, I'm not really sure. Still filling it out. Let's try this. So I bumped that up a bit. So I'm going to go in here like this. Maybe I'll have some water. But I think we will extend that up a bit more. Maybe like that. Oops. Make sure it goes off the canvas there. McGlenn getting their lurk on. Where are you watching from, McGlenn? I'm going to name these layers too so I know what they are. All right. East Coast Canada. Right on. I am in Seattle, Washington. So let's see, what do we want to do to this here? I'm going to add some shadow to the underside of these clouds. Might do kind of a surreal sky today. Thanks, McGlenn. Howdy to you as well. Did you get your free Streamloots cards, McGlenn? You did not. Let me, well, assuming you want to, you can use this link. I don't know if you are familiar with them. It basically just plays cards on my stream. It pops up stuff on the screen, but it does have some relevance to art because a lot of the cards are art related. In fact, why don't we do this? I was going to do this earlier and then I forgot about it. Okay, so if you go to that link, you can get some free cards, and then these are all the different cards that I have that you can play currently. So you'll notice that I have, some kind of goofier stuff like no laughing and no talking and whatever. But there's stuff like, work zoomed really far out, work zoomed really far in, change the hue in the painting, flip the canvas. There's some that relate to the tools that I draw with. And then there's even a drawing request. So if you were to redeem those cards, this is my friend Galen's set of cards. So here's some that I have active. All you need to do is just click the little quantity button here under the card that shows you how many of that particular card you have. And then when you play that card, it shows up on my stream. So that's my little mini tutorial there that I've been meaning to make. Just trying to make these clouds look a little more irregular. And then I think I want a average of these colors here. This helps that transition not be so abrupt. Yeah, starting to come together. I'm just brightening up a little bit of these highlighted areas on the clouds with a lighter, almost white color. Oh no!
Take cover. Huckby Galen has unleashed the angry rock.
Galen lurking on the stream. What's up, Galen? Boom. So for those of you who don't know what the angry rock is, there is a video. It's actually one of my top performing videos on YouTube. It's called Digital Art for Beginners. And hey, thank you for the host, Galen. In that video, I mentioned that drawing with a mouse is kind of like drawing with a rock. And so there's this rock. Thank you for the hosting, Chizara. Good to see you, Chizara. So the rock kind of takes offense to the comments about, you know, how nobody wants to draw with a rock. So if you're interested in the origins of the angry rock, check out that video. What are you up to today, Galen and Chizara? Galen's green. So what does everyone think? Should I go for kind of a surreal landscape? Or should I dip into some old artwork and paint over it? I haven't really pre-selected anything, so I'd have to see what there is. I know there's a lot, though. Galen's got lots of little things going on. I'm doing good. Thanks for asking. I also need to create some Photoshop brushes, so that's going to happen at some point. Really enjoying that Stream Deck. Like, I've got it set up for all kinds of stuff now. It's pretty elaborate. I got, you know, like folders with actions inside of them, and then like multi-action switches, and yeah, it's pretty useful, gotta say. For more than just live streaming. Like, I think I'm probably using it more for just everyday work than for live streaming. What do I want to do more? Galen wants to know. Well, I have to make the Photoshop brushes. That's something I need to do today. I could do that after the stream, but I could also do it during the stream if that's interesting, but it might be kind of boring. I'm fine just doing whatever. I just wanted to do a live stream. Unprepared as usual, improvising. That's my style. I saw, I was checking out, thanks for the follow, Solid Wizard. I was checking out Galen's channel, his previous stream. He was playing Final Fantasy VII. I thought that was pretty sweet. Were you playing that on an emulator, or did you have it hooked up to your PlayStation? If you don't want to answer that question, feel free not to. I'm just curious because I have the disc or the discs for PlayStation. Jazara says it's not easy being green. I think that means you're a mod, right? It must, because Hypebot's on there too. Hypebot is green. Oh, you have it on Steam. There you go. But you also have it on PS3 and PS4 as well. Wow. Bought that game probably 10 times. All right. You like your Final Fantasy VII then? I haven't played it in a long time. So I'm trying to get some kind of surreal looking shapes. I guess it's kind of hard to do with a cloud, because clouds can really be any kind of shape. I have to get in there and like really try to make it look like something. It's a bit too bright there. Cloud that is an octopus. It's a good idea. The middle one looks like it has tentacles. I'm trying to make them look a little unusual. Thanks for the follow, Makeshift. Feel free to claim those Streamloots cards. I added some new ones. All right. Some of these are just a bit too normal looking, but I guess that's okay. Not everything has to be super crazy. Have that one kind of look like a person. Maybe Maybe several people. Yeah, now it looks a little more intentional. How's it going, Makeshift? I think this was my J Cloud from earlier. I have kind of a hand coming out of it or something. And these ones, we'll have them connect like that. There we go. Now it's looking more surreal. I'm going to zoom way out here. And try doing something more interesting with the sky here. I like that better. Makeshift is taking a break from packing. Galen says breaks are good unless they're bones. I don't think I've ever really technically broken a bone. Like, I haven't broken my arm or my leg, but I'm pretty sure I've broken bones in my hand and my feet. I just never went to the doctor to verify it. I don't know about broke, cracked, chipped. I don't know what the right word is, but I've done some stuff to bones. I've been fortunate enough to not actually break one in the traditional sense. Chisara sent me first aid worth 5,000. Thank you, Chisara. Do something like this. I'll help it look a little more dramatic. Thanks for the hosting, Desir. Appreciate all the hosts and all the support. So far, I'm enjoying Mixer. It's a nice place to stream. I'm doing good, sir. How you doing? Galen broke 2 metacarpals in his right hand as a teen. Ouch. Makeshift's brother broke theirs when they were younger, during rough play. Yeah, that's the thing about being a dude. See, one of the times I broke something in my, actually both of those times were, oh well, no, I'm forgetting a time. So all 3 of those times that I can think of off the top of my head, where I've hurt myself, it's been doing dude stuff. So actually, I'm confusing one with a big hole in my hand. So that wasn't a broken bone. So the one time I messed my hand up, I was going roller skating at this like adult roller skating rink where you can drink alcohol. Like basically, the premise is drink alcohol and go roller skating. I suppose the alcohol is optional, but so there were a bunch of people roller skating, and I thought I was cool, like I'm going to bring my own rollerblades because that's what cool people do. They rollerblade and they think that they're going to be cool when they have rollerblades. So I was the only person rollerblading there. I had some drinks, and it was a pretty janky roller skating rink, like a little bit warped. And there were a lot of people there that were drinking. And for whatever reason, maybe I was like showing off, trying to rollerblade around, or maybe, it was just something happened, like the floor was wet or something. But I fell, as you do when you're roller skating, and smashed my hand. And because I'd had some drinks, it was just like, ow, I hurt my hand, whatever. And then I went home and went to sleep. And I think I woke up in the middle of the night and I was like, wow, my hand really, really hurts. Like, it hurts more than it should. And then I realized the next day that my hand was pretty tweaked. Like I couldn't open a bottle. I couldn't like button my own pants. So it was pretty messed up. It was like that for a while. I got a brace, put it on there, and it eventually got better. And then when I hurt my foot, that was I climbed up on this big, like, bluff kind of thing at the beach and thought that if I jumped down, it wasn't going to be as far as it was, and landed on those like big beach rocks that are like that big, and did basically the same thing to my foot, and then had to hike out of there, which was like just an uphill hike for 15 minutes or so on my messed up foot. So that's being a dude, doing dude stuff. But now I'm a lot older and a lot wiser, so I don't do that kind of stuff as much anymore. Desire says men are always injuring themselves. It's built into our DNA. I know that sounds like an excuse or a joke, but I think it actually is literally like built into our DNA, because if you think about the peacock, for example, I'm sure some of you know this, but the peacock looks so flashy because that's basically its way of showing how awesome it is, because it's so flashy and so obvious that it's extremely easy to be eaten by predators. Like a jaguar is going to see a peacock. It's not trying to blend into anything. So it's like, I'm cool. I'm awesome. I don't care if a jaguar is going to try to eat me because, I'll fly away or pop away or whatever. And so that's impressive to females. And I think men probably aren't going about it in the right way, because I don't think too many females are going to be impressed by a guy jumping off of a bluff and breaking his foot. Thank you, Galen. Thank you, McGlenn, for the gifts. What's a puppy? What's the puppy doing? I had to figure out where that popped up. I was like, wait a minute, someone's looking at a GIF somewhere. I thought it was going to show in my stream, but maybe I have to do that. It's something I have to set up. And men are not flashy, so we do dumb things, says Heart by Galen. I guess that's true. We have no brightly colored feathers. Galen said showing the gift stickers on stream. Yeah, I thought, because I'd seen in yours show on stream, and maybe it did, and I just didn't see it, but it didn't look like it popped up. I saw it in the chat. Oh, through Mix It Up. Everything's through Mix It Up. Yeah, it's a lot to learn. But I suppose it's like everything, you just learn a little at a time, and then eventually you know it all, or what you need to know. It is pretty amazing. It's worrisome because it's free. That means that they'll charge for it. But I think live streaming is kind of one of those things where they're probably not gonna like make it super expensive if they did charge for it, I would think. What's up, Dakota? Thank you for the follow. Good to see you today. I was just talking about you in, I think, the last live stream, because somebody had asked me about the Super Nintendo and the stack of games, and I was mentioning how we made an arrangement for them. Still working on figuring out how to get Mario Paint going. You know, there was something I saw on, it was some review of a product. I think it was a really cheap HDMI input device. Like, it looked like it was way cheaper than a FrameMeister. But I think the reason why I didn't buy it at the time was because there were some, I think you needed some special HDMI cables, and those were sold out. But I bookmarked it, so that's on my list of things to do. So I do want to do like a Mario Paint stream. I could emulate it, but it's just not the same. I'd rather use the hardware. Galen says Jer's stream has face rig running. I'll have to check that out. I don't know what face rig is. Some sort of rig for your face. All right, a little bit more on the clouds here, and then I can figure out what to do with the rest of this. Let's see, what brush was I using? Oily Clouds. All right. I always do that. I say like, I'm just going to do one more thing and move on. And then I'm like, nope, there's more. Okay, so let's see that land in the distance. I'm going to work on a bit. Just reshaping it a bit there using a pinch brush, which is just like a liquify style brush. Galen killed my Wacom pen. All right, I have to draw without a pen. So that leaves me to draw either with my mouse or with, well, I guess I have to use my mouse. Okay. So let's do this. Let's just verify that I am not using my pen. And no, I'm not using a different tablet. Let's see, let's set a timer to fancy timers. So let's give you some action here. Let's create a new layer and let's draw something here. Uh-oh.
Take cover. Art B. Galen has unleashed the angry rock.
Art B. Galen. I like the way he says that. We need to give that guy a name. Ouch. Almost hit me in the head there. So I thought, I mean, you had advised against this, the text-to-speech thing, because somebody could say something naughty, which I'm sure that'll happen, but I thought maybe we'd give that guy a name, and then maybe that can be a card. Like, you can have him say something. He basically just insults me whenever he can, the British voice guy. So wherever I can in his dialogue, I try to have it be condescending toward me. Desire says, was that rock tasty? Yes. It's full of minerals. A draw with a rock stream. That's basically what's going on right now. Drawn with a rock. Although I have a marble mouse, so it's kind of different. I guess it's like drawing with an eyeball. There's lots of people who draw with only a mouse and can do some pretty extraordinary things. And that's how you had to make art. I was just talking about Mario Paint. You had to use a mouse for that.
McGlenn would like you to zoom in. A little bit further. A little bit further. More. Even more. That's it.
Okay. Whoops, I almost used my pen. Almost. It's habit. You almost got me there. Okay, I'm not going to open my navigator to where I can see my canvas more clearly or smaller. That would be cheating, I think. I like this mouse, I gotta say, because I only have a little tiny amount of room on my desk to use this, so if I had a traditional mouse that you had to slide around, it would not work with my desk setup. And I tried using one where you control the trackball with your thumb, and I just cannot use that. So if they ever quit making this one, I'm gonna have to like seriously stock up. Like I see them at thrift stores sometimes, and I'm like, I already have one, but I almost want to buy an extra because I think I'm on my third or fourth one. Like they do eventually wear out. Actually, the little rubber pad on the bottom, the glue is already starting to wear out, and it's like, really? Jer's here. Good to see you, Jer. So I got a minute or so left of drawing with this rock. I mean, the mouse. Let's do some blending here. Now, if I was trying to draw like a portrait or something, it would be probably a lot more challenging to draw with this mouse. But it's not too bad. Could have used a color gamut mask for this one, but I thought, I'll just go for it. 16 seconds left. Let's see here. Okay, so I can go back to drawing with a pen now. And a little bit longer on the zoom in. I'll go back to a normal distance. All right, so I'm going to go ahead and zoom out and see how this is looking. A little sloppier than I would have done if I was zoomed out, but I think I can go through and blend it up a bit. Thank you, Galen, for the tip there. Okay, so to do some blending here. Let's make it kind of look like sand dunes or something. All right. So thinking of that story I told earlier about jumping off the bluff, maybe this will be kind of a scene like that. I mean, up on, up on a much higher bluff than I jumped off of, but they have a lot of scenes like that around here where, you go to like a park and then you can hike down to the beach, but when you're up at the top, you can see the ocean and then the edge of the cliff, like so. I'm just catching up on the chat here. Dakota's having trouble on mobile. It's reversing what you type. That's a weird bug. Okay, so this water needs to be blended a bit. Uh-oh.
Color me, it ain't easy being green, be Galen.
It ain't easy being green. Boom. There you go, Galen. That's my Kermit the Frog voice. I'm just going to select this smooth palette knife brush here and blend it a little bit near the horizon. Woo, Kermit. Chazara, thank you. Up there's Kermit going nuts. Okay, so now I get the right color here. Sweet, thank you, Galen. Kermit drinking some tea. Okay, I need to take down the opacity quite a bit on that. I'll have the water look kind of surreal too. Makeshift says I could also do an Ernie voice. I think, yeah, they must be the same the same voice actor. I haven't practiced doing Ernie. That's right, I hang out and I practice doing Kermit the Frog voice. Just getting some of those sky colors in the water here. So I haven't quite figured out how I'm going to make the water look surreal, but I will. I just want the colors to be correct. Mix in a little bit of blue-green in there. Sire's got to go, eat some food. Be back shortly. Sounds good. Let the water kind of swirl up here. We'll see how that looks. I kind of like the direction that's going. Card idea, talk like Kermit for 2 minutes. And get sued by Kermit the Frog? I don't know. Call me up and be like, listen here, mother. I think I'll have the cliffs doing some kind of warpy stuff too. Yeah, it's fun to think about what you can do with those cards. I still have a pretty big list. I'll wake up in the middle of the night and be like, all right, I got an idea for a card. I write it down. Thank you, Galen, for the graveyard, gravestone, tombstone.
Why are there so many songs about rainbows?
An Aaron streamer troll you. Let's see. Well, now the background hills look kind of boring, so they need some craziness in them too. Butter, cheese bread. Making me hungry. This kind of reminds me of Super Mario Brothers mountains that have the little waves going through them. There we go. Galen says he's liking this a lot. Thank you, Galen. Yeah, it's something slightly different than what I keep doing. Not quite right.
Thank you, Utby Galen. I have a feeling this live stream is about to get a lot better.
Okay, 2 minutes is up. That's hard to do. Beat the devil out of that brush. Shoot. The question is, when you do those cards, what happens if you do talk? Is there some sort of consequence? Just making some little grassy things here. I think I should use some of my particle brushes. I have so many brushes, like I just can't even use them all anymore. It's really the problem. So let's see. That might kind of work for the color. So I want these to look kind of surreal. These are really nice brushes for painting leaves and stuff. Galen says when he doesn't, what's the word, when he talks, when he's not supposed to talk, he gives the person who played the card a free chest. That's a good idea. Then my mods accidentally give them 20. Galen says I'm Mixer's digital Bob Ross. Bob Ross with a little bit of surrealism. I'm going to move those behind the cliffs. I'm happier with that. Yeah. Just kind of fill this in with some more leaf-looking stuff. And those ones I'll just keep like that, I think. So they can be a different type of plant. But I think what I'll do then is to maybe go in here and tint this a little bit. I'll zoom in so you can see what I'm doing there. Let's have some different green shades, and I'm just kind of glazing over it with those. So they're not all one static color. So now to make them look surreal, what to do? I'll put some weird berries on them maybe. I look through my 1.5 million brushes here. Just have some random multicolored berries on them. There we go. Now those look a little bit weird. Jared's bringing home a dirty, starving tiny cat. Our cat just disappeared. No idea what happened to him. My hope is that maybe he went to a neighbor's house and someone realized he was a gorgeous cat and took him in. But it's been like over a month, so I think that's not what happened to him. It's not been a good few years for pets because we had a dog that was too old to live anymore, so we had to put her to sleep, and then same thing with my other cat. Yeah, it is sad. I don't know. I'm a little desensitized to it because like we just lost the cat and the dog. I think that was at the beginning of this year, and then I think the cat was like the year before last. I don't even remember. But I had never had any pets long enough for them to die, so it was kind of a new experience, and it kind of turns me off to the idea of having pets. Because I just don't want to have to go through putting a pet to sleep again. It's not a fun experience. Let's see if I can set this back a little bit. Just blending it because I feel like it was a little bit too sharp. I think it almost looks better sharp. Let's see what I can do. Blend out that bottom edge, that helps a little bit. Jared said he had to put his old cat down 2 years ago, and not a day goes by that I don't think about him. And that's the thing about pets, they're fun until they get super old, and then it's like, I don't know, you just watch them wither away, and it's hard to know like what to do with them too, because they can't tell you, you know. Like my cat was cool with it. He was like, "Thank you. It's about time, man." Like he didn't fight it at all. It was like he wanted to be done. Did a painting of him too. That's just kind of how I coped with the situation. Like I pretty much, I don't know if it was like the same day or like the day after, just did like a portrait of him. The first cat, I mean. The second cat, I'm pretty sure he's not coming back, but still, you know, it's a possibility. Sometimes animals do get out and they stay out for a long time. Sometimes people do take animals in. Remember one cat I had a long time ago, I got pretty much because it just like showed up at the door. It was raining at night and was meowing at my door, and it had like mats all over its fur, and it looked like it was a homeless cat. And it was super sweet too, like a really nice cat, and just came in and like was just my cat. Like it was really random. Making everybody all sad about animals now. Netflix is making a new He-Man series. Yeah, I'm a little skeptical about stuff like that. I don't know. I'm old fashioned. Like I'd rather watch the old He-Man, and even the old He-Man as an adult isn't very good. But I can say that about most cartoons, really. Like I really liked Ninja Turtles, and then I think beyond maybe the first or second season, it's pretty hard to watch as an adult. I mean, it's nostalgic. It just, I don't know. The writing doesn't appeal to me as much as an adult. But Glenn got a piece of cheese to cheer them up. Cheese is like crack, so it does something to your brain. Well, if ever there were a time to play the change the hue card, if you have one, it's now, because we could change that hue and make it a completely different painting. So let's see, I'm going to go enhance the water line a little bit. All right, that's better. Then maybe I will have another layer of land in front of that. I want that to be darker in value. And we can start shifting it toward a color. I think I will go with maybe something the other direction. Something like that. Galen said the toys that made us kind of spoiled the old shows for me a bit. Now a part of me is just pissed off that they were basically just series-long toy commercials. Yeah, I kind of feel the same way too. I watched the Ninja Turtles one finally. Kind of sad that the creators don't get along anymore. Not to spoiler alert. And then one of them made out with like $60 million and the other one didn't. But yeah, it was just one big toy commercial, and it worked because I like me some Ninja Turtles, even as an adult. Okay, got another little layer of land there. I think that helps. Well, the reason why one of the guys ended up with $60 million and the other one didn't is because the guy who didn't get the money, I think, sold his rights early on. He was happy with like $1 million. The other guy held out. And apparently it was his agreement to still reserve the rights to be able to self-publish Ninja Turtles if he ever wants to. Galen had a ton of Ninja Turtles as a kid, even still have a few, the ones that survived going through all three of his kids. Yeah, they're pretty durable. I'm surprised how many of them I find at the thrift store. Like at first I was like really excited to find the original ones, the original 4 Ninja Turtles. But now they come up so often, it's like I go to the store and I'm like, oh, another Raphael. I have, three Raphaels, so I just leave it be. Part of me wants to get it. Part of me is like, I gotta hoard those Ninja Turtles, but like I don't want any doubles unless I like needed them for parts or something. The reason why I got a couple Raphs is because one of the legs was broken. Yeah, it's my thing. Buying Ninja Turtles, collecting stuff from my childhood. The whole that whole wall behind me is just, you know, if you want to see my Ninja Turtles, there's I think a studio tour video. As if there's like more than 3 people out there who care. If you want to see my toys, I have a closer shot of them. So let's see, what do we want to do to this now? I think the background is still too ordinary. There we go. That looks better. There's something to it. And like I'm not using a reference photo here. This is just all from imagination. I mean, obviously there wouldn't be a landscape that looks like this, but I'm not even using like, pictures of clouds or whatever. It's pretty easy just to make this stuff up if you just practice enough and observe enough. All you have to do is just go outside and look up at the sky. But observation is one of those things. Observation is not about looking, it's about understanding. It's possible to look without understanding. There we go. Oh, it fits in a bit better with what's going on. Thank you, Galen, for sharing the studio tour. Hashtag Ninja Turtle curse. Let's see what to do now. I think maybe we'll label this layer. By the way, the last painting I was working on of the black and white mountain, somebody bought a print of that after the stream. So that's cool. And I was telling her like, I have a bunch of prints up in my store, but I haven't updated it in a long time, and I just figured no one would want a painting that I made in the live stream, but then somebody did, so all right. So if anybody wants any of my paintings that I create during my live streams, just hit me up. Probably just do it on request. So let's see here. I was going to put in a beach. Let's see how that looks. It looks okay. But I think what I need to do is probably going to need to darken up the sand in the foreground. Scale is one of those tricky things because you could look at this and you could see that as being, 30 feet away, where it might be 300 feet away. Keelan says, I think that when we see something come to life in real time before our eyes, it becomes more meaningful and it makes you feel like you're a part of it. Definitely. I'd like to do some in-person painting demonstrations. I suppose I could. It's just it's on me to go out and set that stuff up. I find I'm so bogged down with stuff to do online to advertise myself that I don't really put that much effort into doing it locally. But I don't know. I'd have to see if it's easy to get a big following if you're potential people that would follow you are from all around the world. That's a lot of people. But when you start to get more local with it, how many people are into digital art in the Seattle area that would go to see a live digital painting? And then of those people, how many of those people would want to see me? Not a very large pool of people. So, you factor in how much time it takes to get set up and go there and rent the space and all that stuff. It becomes very complicated. Setting up a live stream is doesn't cost me anything other than electricity and paying for internet pretty much. But it would be cool to do stuff in person. So this foreground needs to be darker. There we go. That makes sure that it's definitely separate from the background. And it should probably be a different kind of dirt too, because the sand near the beach would be one color and the dirt would probably be another color. Although, at the park that I'm thinking of, there are big sand pits even up high up on the cliffs. So maybe that's the way to go. Getting this average of colors, that's not what I want. Okay. So that beach down there can help determine the scale by making features that are recognizable small. So for example, this little foamy stuff, if I made that really wide, like that, you might get the impression that it's 30 feet away. But if I make it really small, maybe it's 300 feet away. And then if I were going to put people on the beach, they'd just be little specks. And you probably wouldn't see small rocks. You might see some big rocks. But it would be not very detailed. And I can zoom in here. It's probably better to be zoomed out. That way you don't over detail stuff, but I want you to be able to see what I'm doing. Zoom in even closer here. Just like little stuff like that. Like maybe that's a big rock on the beach. And there's some logs and stuff. And I guess the farther out you get, the more potential there is for there to be stuff on the beach that you'd have to account for. But you wouldn't want to put anything too big unless there is like a really big boulder out there, which there could be. Could have a big something. So that does happen. Kalen says, I promise the art scene in your area is better than mine. Most definitely it is, I'm sure. Because there's a lot going on in Seattle as far as art. But I don't know. I'm still kind of the frame of mind that people, like I think more artists are accepting digital art. It's pretty well accepted now, but as far as like people who just would go to a bar and would normally go see a concert or something, would they go see somebody do what I'm doing now, paint a landscape or something? I don't know. I know that people do because I know of other artists who use Corel Painter who do live events, so I know it's possible. So then it's still kind of hard to tell if that's a rock that's close or a rock that's really big and far away. So probably want to blue it down a bit. Get some atmosphere. Put a little blue into the water, into the sand. Add some atmosphere to it. Highlight the edge of that a little bit too. Galen added a command, loot. Sweet, dude. Thank you. So if I do that now, let's try that. Oops, I'm doing it on the wrong thing. Does it work for me too? Nice. Thank you, dude. I gotta figure out how to do that. You've shown me a lot of cool stuff, the Discord and now this. I appreciate all the help. My live stream would probably be pretty weak without all this stuff. There we go, that shadow helps a little bit. And then I think I need to knock this back a little bit. There we go. Oh, so you're doing that through the Streamlabs bot. And will that just stay? I assume that'll just stay in there from now on. It doesn't have to be created each time. Let's see if I can try out a new brush. Tiny little foam details here. There we go, that adds some scale to it. I'll give it a little bit of thickness. That definitely needs to be blended. Zoom into that so you can see, whoops, what that did. I might even go in here. Let's see, with a regular palette knife. Have it look kind of wet around these areas here. Should probably save this too. Galen says you can delete the command from Streamlabs and make it and mix it up. And it's preferable to be in there because you can make the commands trigger anything, not just chat stuff. That's cool. Thank you, Galen. He says, it's looking beautiful. The depth has really increased. Yeah, it's all about just adding layers and layers. I see some stuff that I want to fix. I'll try to find the color that I want here. I feel like we need more of these in the background that are darker. There's just little small things growing in here too. The way the bottom gets filled in a bit more. You'll notice I'm naming all my layers here, so if I ever want to find a layer, I can get to it quite easily. And then it makes it super easy to change stuff too. You know, if I decide I don't like the color of something, or I want to repaint an area, I don't have to start all over or do extra work repainting objects that don't need to be touched. Hi, Rose. Good to see you. So let's see. I want to add some little plants in the foreground. So we can have them kind of growing out of a little patch here. These particle brushes are nice because they can lay down two colors at once. So if I do a big brush here, you can see it looks kind of like a useless brush, like just some kind of gimmicky effect thing. But if you do the right kind of strokes with it, you can get some pretty interesting results. Some little grassy things on the dunes there. Rose says she loves the painting and the water is moving. Thank you, Rose. Yeah, I'm kind of going for like a surreal landscape today. I was just talking about how somebody bought the painting from the last live stream and it was Rose. Thank you, Rose. All these little details are kind of fun to put in. Thanks, Galen. Wink, wink. The trick about putting in stuff randomly is if you spread stuff out too evenly, then it doesn't look random anymore. So Sometimes I'll just pick areas and like really do a large concentration of stuff in that area. And maybe just have like one little patch kind of off somewhere. And I can go darker. So these little pieces are in shadow here. Thank you, Pizza Time, for the snowman. Sweet. Pizza and snow together at last. It's nice to have some warm pizza in the snow when you're building a snowman. I don't think I've ever had the luxury of eating a pizza while building a snowman, but maybe that's something to do this year if it snows. Or I could build a pizza while eating a snowman. That's also something to try. There's always the ever popular snow phallus too that people like to build. Okay. The edge of this cliff needs to be sharper. Pizza Time wants me to draw a surreal snowman made out of pizza. That's a good idea. It needs to be even lighter. Oops. Switch into the scissors there. Yeah, one of these days I'll disable whatever keyboard shortcut that is, because that seems to happen a lot. Must be Z. Yeah, Z goes to the scissors, and I hit Control Z a lot. I'm not happy with that color. Let's see if I can get something I like better. Oh, it's starting to look like a nice little cliff scene here. Make little holes for the grass to come out of. They also create kind of a bit of a shadow too. Pizza Time's at work and must go, but it's looking very nice. Thank you, Pizza Time. I appreciate you popping in during work. I'll see you next time, Pizza Time. Yeah. MC Hammer Bob Ross. Hammer time. Pretty sure there was a point in maybe second, third, or fourth grade where they must have had some talent. You know, they do talent shows and stuff like that. And I think I was going to try to audition to do an MC Hammer song or dance or something, I remember. I think that was my idea that I came up with on the fly. I don't think it panned out. I don't know if I just didn't end up doing it or if I was going to audition for it and they were like, yeah, you some grandiose ideas there, kid. You don't even have the pants. I didn't have the huge wind pants. I think it was literally like they were just doing like, you know, seeing which kids wanted to be in the talent show and whether or not they had something to offer. I think I was like, yeah, I want to do MC Hammer. Also, pretty sure I shaved the Pepsi logo into my head when it was cool to like shave stuff into your head in the 90s. That was also like an on the fly decision. Like, I'm going to go get a haircut. Oh, you shave stuff into people's heads? Okay. You have a little, like a little book of like flash art or something. The Pepsi logo, cool. I like Pepsi. Nowadays, you get paid for that stuff. That's how cool of a kid I was. Oh, MC Hammer. So all this stuff here would probably be casting a bit of a shadow, so I'm just kind of accounting for that. Just looking at this, thinking about what I want to do next. I know, let's flip the canvas. Yeah, can't say I like it any better flipped though. Something about it doesn't sit well with me. Thanks for the whisper there. So let's see. I think it's these plants. So let's see what can be done about that. Maybe a different color. That looks kind of neat. Complements that other purple I have going on too. I'll go with that. Now I think I'm going to go back to background for a minute here. I'm going to use a little bit of thick paint. I think I want to establish a more clear highlight and shadow side on the mountains. Maybe. We'll see. Rose wants to know, am I going to add Ember next year to this page? Add embers. I'm still figuring out the mixer stuff. So that's something I'll have to work out. But yeah, I mean, I'm going to do it one thing at a time. There's just so many things to set up. It's tricky to get it all. I have to admit, like, I have to actually see what they do. I signed up for the monetization program, so I think that's what I needed to do. But I think that's still being approved. So I think after that, then maybe I can use them. I don't know. I'm making it up as I go along here. I don't exactly know what a lot of this stuff does. Galen's been really helpful, helping me figure this stuff out. Probably wouldn't have even touched a lot of it if he hadn't helped me. This adds a little bit more detail, and I'm just kind of trying to enhance those different shapes that I put in already. I think that works. I'm going to evaluate how it looks with and without thickness. I think I'm going to keep it without thickness. I'm just trying to pull down more of those different shapes. So what's left is kind of the shadow. I don't want to go too far down into that mist, though. And I will do that again. Rose says it looks great. Thank you, Rose. Yeah, starting out, I wasn't so sure what to think about it, but now it's kind of starting to come together. That's the thing about art. If you give up on it too soon, it never reaches its full potential. Some things start out and they look good when you start out, and some things look horrible and you work them to a point to where they look good. But there are some things that, no matter how much work you put into it, just aren't going to work. Okay, that's really helped the background a lot, I think. Now it's more clear where the light's coming from in this piece. Yeah. There is one discrepancy, though, and that is this rock. Dun dun dun. It's an angry rock. That needs to be flipped. Wait a minute. Flip, darn you. Does not want to flip. Oh, because I have a selection active. I see. Let's try that again. There we go. I'm going to skew it a bit like that. That's the kind of stuff you got to watch out for. Okay. Now I think I'm going to go into the water, and I'm going to do a little bit of work on that with some thick paint. I might even try to use that new brush I created. That's a bit too thick. Let's see if we can make it more sparse. Yeah, it's not going to work. Not the kind of look that I want. So we'll go back to plan A. I'm just adding some fine little details on the water here. Just using light pressure, and then I have the Wacom Art Pen, which I can rotate. So you may not be able to see the dab because it's really small, but I have it rotated. so that I'm getting a horizontal mark. Do some stuff like that. I want to zoom out a little bit. Thanks for the follow, Glass Ink. So wherever there's already kind of lighter spots in the water, that's where I'm adding these little ripple things. I want to overdo them though. Rose wants to know, is there a difference between the pen that comes with the Wacom versus the Wacom Pro Pen? Well, it depends on which tablet you have. Which Wacom tablet are you using? Using really light pressure here just to blend this in a bit. The Intuos Medium. So if it's just the regular Intuos, not the Intuos Pro, then the pen is quite a bit different. The Intuos Medium, if it's the newer one, has 4,000 pen pressure levels, I believe. I wonder if they gave it 8. I think it might have 8 now, actually. I don't remember. So pen pressure levels could be different, and then there's an eraser on the Pro Pen. The Pro Pen also supports tilt, so you can tilt the pen to get the mark to change its shape or other properties. So for example, if you're drawing with like a pencil, well, here I can show you. So for example, I can keep my pen, well, this is the art pen, but it doesn't matter. It also supports tilt. Keep my pen upright, and then I can shade with the side of it to make a broader mark. I have a weird paper grain selected here, so let me set that back. So it makes you feel more like you're drawing with a real pencil. And it feels a bit different. It has like kind of a rubbery grip on it, and other than that, you can also change out some nibs to get different nib styles. The nibs are like the tip of your pen, so you can get like felt nibs and other kinds of stuff. So there's just a little bit more you can do with it, but essentially it does basically the same thing. And whether or not you need that stuff, I guess, kind of depends on what kind of art you do. But for landscape stuff like this, I found the rotation incredibly useful. If I didn't have rotation, then I may have wanted to use pen tilt to get some of those expressions to rotate my brush. But I could have done this whole painting without any of that anyways. But it does make it feel a little more intuitive when you're painting. And if you wanted tilt, you could, if you didn't want to go all out and buy like a screen tablet, you could get the Intuos Pro. The medium would be quite a bit bigger. Well, not quite a bit bigger, but bigger than the medium size regular Intuos that you have. And then you'd have the Pro Pen 2, which has pen tilt and all that stuff. And I believe you can use the Wacom Art Pen on it if you bought the Wacom Art Pen as well. So let's see. What else would I like to do to this? I'm going to check the value. Now this isn't a super accurate way to check your value, but it gives you an idea of what the value is like in this piece. So why did I turn it black and white? The reason why I did that is because then you can really see whether or not the values are playing well together. So, for example, let's make this smaller so we can see. If you look up in the color picker here, you'll be able to see what the values are and how they change as I sample. So, for example, we have like the darkest area on the background hills is currently at 193. And as things go into the background, they should get lighter and lighter. So if the mountains in front of it are the same color rock, their shadow area should be darker. So then it's 172 and then 141. But then as we go into the foreground, past that, the darkest areas here on the water should be darker, and they are. So they're around 130, 140. And they start to get darker into the foreground around 104. And then if we go to the rock over here, that's a little bit darker because it's still right around the same plane. Then when we go into the foreground, then it's 79 and kind of a mix of different colors, 50s and 70s over here. So the grass is a bit too dark, but I could fix that by making the darker areas in the sand a bit darker. So for example, I can take that color and just reference kind of where I'm at in the value. So 4850 is kind of where I am for the plants, the darkest being 16. So let's say between like 10 and 50. And right now I'm at 70, so I need to go probably more down, like around here. And I don't have to fill in all of the dark areas with that color, but if I need to at least like in the darkest of the dark areas, put in some hints of that. And it gives me an opportunity to add in some more details as well. So now if I put that value back on, things come together a bit more. Now the same kind of applies for lighter colors too. Like this sand down here is at 205 for the lightness value. And the lightest part of this sand is 207, 210. So it is a bit darker, but the sand should be quite a bit more lighter. But I think it's at least somewhat of a difference. Let's try it and see. I feel like I added in enough blue to where even though they're not too far off from each other, it still works to separate it visually. But let's see if we want to make it lighter. Let's see, beach. Could go a bit lighter. It feels almost too light though. It's hard to tell that it's sand. So we'll probably want to go to the cliff layer and change that. Just go a bit darker with it. I think I accidentally moved that water line. There we go. That's better. So I think I'm going to go for probably another 20 minutes or so and then probably wrap this one up. So far it's turned out pretty good, I think. I flipped it back. I just need to remember that my shadow is on one side and the highlight's on the other. I'm going to go back to the background here. Merge a few layers down. So now I'm going to go to that land far layer. I'm going to get my blur blender. And let's see if I can soften that a bit. Do that same thing for the next layer and the next layer in front of that. So then they'll look farther back. And merge that water line with the water. Blur that a little bit. Maybe this little boulder, so that's not so sharp. The foam on the beach sets that back a little bit. Rose says your list is long today on the layers panel. I'm used to use the groups. Yeah, I should be grouping some stuff. Could do that. We could go land. It's like usually when I'm live streaming, I don't do as much organization. But if I were, well, as you know, if I were doing this for a course or something, I'd be a little bit more organized. Let's see. So the plants can all get grouped. And then we can group the boulder, the foam, and the beach. There we go. Nice and tidy now. So now let's think about what to do to this to bring it together. I want to do a little bit of blending on the sky layer. Just some kind of rough spots in the clouds there that I want to smooth out. Just kind of touch up a few of these clouds too, because they're not exactly the way I want them. That's looking better. Now I'm going to go ahead and save this. I'm going to save a copy. We can experiment here, do something crazy. I'm going to drop all layers down to a single layer. Let's see how it looks if we play with the hue. Shifting a little bit. Sometimes you see something that you like. It's kind of cool. We can go the other direction too. Doesn't even have to be like a major shift. It could just be something subtle like that, where the blues are shifted a bit more indigo. I don't know. Once you see it shifted too, sometimes you just like it better the way it was. So I don't think I want to change that. A lot of my decision-making process is based on experimentation. So I'll try stuff, and if it doesn't look good, then I know not to do that. But what it did help me see is that there is some room to pop out a few more of these little shapes. Rose says that would be a cool screensaver with the hue changing, definitely. I should have done this earlier. Have the highlights here with a little bit of warmth in them. And again, I'm making sure to pay attention to which side I have my highlights on. Keep that consistent. When you're flipping your canvas around, sometimes you can forget. There we go. That's really helped those clouds. Do a little bit of blending. Never did get around to making those Photoshop brushes. I'll probably have to do that after the stream. There we go. And then I think I'm going to go ahead and just save this. Now, I probably should have unflattened my layers, but I'm going to commit to this being done, and I don't think I'm going to come back to it, so it's okay, because I would have eventually flattened all my layers anyways. Very lightly blending with diffuse blur, mainly on the bottoms of the clouds. 2 hairs and some air. You know what? 3 hairs and some air. 3 hairs. I want to play with the edge of this a bit more. Help this look a bit more distant. If I add a little bit more character to that. Like it needs finer lumps and bumps. Because if it's equally as smooth as what's in the foreground, it looks a little bit odd. It doesn't give it that illusion of distance. Rose says she should get her artwork from the last stream I did pretty soon. That's awesome. Let me know how it turned out. Okay, I'm going to do the same thing here in the foreground. I don't want to overdo it too close to the foreground because I want that to look a little more close. There we go. Flip it horizontally again. I think I'm liking it better that way. Trying to think of what else it needs. Well, I don't have much time left anyway, so it doesn't matter what else it needs. It's going to have to be done. It needs a signature. That's what it needs. It's always good to keep your signature separate because when you're printing stuff, you might find that the size canvas that you want to fit it onto is different when you go to print it. Thank you, Rose, for the snow globe. So for example, on the print that I did for Rose of that painting, the painting was wide like this, 16 by 9, but the print was cropped a bit more. So I had to basically do some magic. And since I had everything in layers, I made it fit. So doing 16 by 9 paintings like this is probably not a very good idea if you plan to print a lot, but I find it fits nicely on my screen, so that's why I do it that way. So let's do this. Let's fill the screen here. And then I want my inking pen that I sign with. Gotta figure out where I want to sign it. Maybe down there like that. And then now, if I want to do a print of this, if I need to crop some of it off, then I can always take the signature and I can move it around anywhere else. I might even like it better if I move it somewhere else. But I like it to be kind of low-key. Almost hidden, but not quite. And I don't even always sign everything, so sometimes I don't sign it at all. So I got a couple more minutes left. I see a place where I want to blend. I need to use a diffuse blur over that. And with that, I think I have a finished painting. Thanks everybody for joining me for this live stream. I hope you had a good time and you enjoyed watching me paint and maybe even learned a little bit about digital painting along the way. I will continue to be doing live streaming probably once a week, and I still haven't really worked out an exact schedule, but so far it's been on Wednesday, so perhaps that will be how I will continue doing it. Dakota says bye. See you later, Dakota. Thanks, Jazara. Happy holidays to you, Rose. Dakota says, is this rewatchable? That's a little bit tricky. So I've changed things a little bit on Patreon. So my live stream archives and like longer versions of videos have now moved over to YouTube memberships. So you can watch it if you're a YouTube member. Moosey's following. Thank you, Moosey. So the long answer is yes, but I will need to process the video and upload it first. So it's probably, if it is rewatchable, it will be probably later on today, if not by tomorrow. See you later, Jazara. Merry Christmas to you as well. Thanks for watching, McGlenn. Hope you have a great morning or evening wherever you're at. All right, I will see you all next time.